So is Never Split the Difference worth a read? In today's video on Hustler's Library, I'm going to be covering this book and whether you should read it or not. Stay tuned. What's going on? It's your favorite pharmacist on the YouTubes. It is Kevin frickin' Yee, and today I am frickin' reviewing Never Split the Difference on Hustler's Library. If you don't know what Hustler's Library is, it's just pretty much my book review channel where, I take different books off my bookshelf and kind of tell you why I like them. There's 5 things I do in every episode. I always talk about when this book came into my life, why I'm talking about it, what it's about, how I'm using it, and of course, who do I recommend it to. And by the way, with every Hustler Library video, I would love it if you would support my channel by buying through my affiliate links. I have Amazon affiliate links below. So I love it if you would purchase this book through my affiliate link to support more episodes of Hustler's Library. I have a channel manager now. I got paid for him. So yeah, we're really trying to make I got bills to pay, man. So first things first, when did this book come into my life? It was probably about maybe 6 or 7 months after taking Dan Locke's high ticket closing course. I was really into closing and sales and stuff. I still am, by the way. But I was looking at different books because I think at the end of the day, you can learn from a lot of different people. For example, I have books with Jordan Belfort. I have Spin Selling, the classic books, and I have books on consulting like The Trusted Advisor. Honestly, at the end of the day, I'm really all about learning from whoever you can. I'm not the type of person who's just like, hey man, you only learn from Dan Locke. I really wanted to learn a lot more to see how other people close and learn from other different people. I remember I was just chilling on Amazon and going through all the different reviews, looking at the best closing books just to see the other type of styles that I could learn from and absorb. And this book actually had a lot of reviews, like a lot of reviews. It was pretty expensive as a book. I think it was almost like $20+. I think I spent like $26 on this. This is the OG one. There is a different cover one as well now. And keep in mind, 26 bucks isn't the end of the world, but for a book, that's quite expensive. So it was really good. And I figured since this book was, when I found out it was about how a former FBI top hostage negotiator, him sharing his field tested tools for talking anyone into or out of just about anything, I thought, hey, it's a pretty, he's probably one of the best at closing or influence or persuasion. Like when I think about FBI negotiation, you have to be good because guess what? There's 3 things that you need to know. You can't back out of a deal because guess what? If a terrorist has a hostage, what are you going to do? You can't just leave that situation. You can't go 50-50 where they're like, you know what? You want 50,000. Let's go 25,000, kill half the hostages and we'll walk away clean. That's not typically what happens. And the third thing is, a lot of people don't know, but an FBI negotiator is really looking for a favorable outcome for everyone. So they're looking for a safe exit for the hostages. They're looking for a safe outcome for even the person, even for the person demanding or holding those people hostage as well. That is an optimal type of thing that we're always trying to get as a FBI negotiator. I'm talking like I'm an FBI negotiator, but I think Chris Voss, there was a really great quote. I'm not sure. I actually got it from the Cliff Notes. Let me read it to you. Negotiation is the heart of collaboration and is what makes conflict potentially meaningful and productive for all parties. So really, it's all about getting a favorable outcome for everyone. So I bought it. And guess what? When I bought it, man, it was one of those books that you can't stop reading. It's like watching, I feel like it's kind of like Dan Locke's high ticket closer course where you read something and it just blows your freaking mind. And at the same time, it's almost like you're watching an episode of 24, Jack Bauer days, like the OG terrorist show, right? CTU and all that. It was just really captivating. And I like how he broke down everything, including providing like a TLDR at the end, just in case you're too busy to kind of read the whole story part about it. Why I'm talking about it today is because it's actually one of my favorite books on closing. Actually, I would say, you know, it's a really, really good book. And especially if you're taking Dan Locke's High Ticket Closer, or maybe even Jordan Belfort's training, or even Grant Cardone's, you should really read this because it just helps you make you a better communicator. But I'll get into that later, who I recommend it to. By the way, shameless plug, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Okay, back to the video. I think one of the major reasons why I'm talking about it today is because it ended up being one of my favorite books on closing. And it really shows you that you can use it outside of business, right? Chris talks about the usefulness of not only his FBI negotiations, but also his time at a suicide hotline as well, where, you know, closing and influence and persuasion are tested at the max, because literally you have lives. It's not like you have lives on the line. It's not like you're dealing with money, you lose the sale. You know, it sucks, but at the end of the day, no one dies. In these situations, it's everything, right? What it's about, it's actually about Chris Voss and his career as an FBI negotiator. And it really breaks down his career with clear actionables at the end. So like I said earlier, really clear tips about how to close a certain deal. What tactics did he use in that story? You know, I remember one of the first situations that he's talking about is this Brooklyn bank robbery gone wrong, and he talks step by step how he uses the late night DJ voice, you know, and all that sort of stuff to kind of get a favorable outcome for everyone. As far as how I'm using it, for y'all that don't know, I'm actually a high ticket closer, I guess. I have my own high ticket sales agency, and I also work on a team that is a lot more experienced than me, right? So I get to use these tactics every single day, like on the phone, and try different things, right? I also use it to really communicate a lot better in terms of conflict. For me, I feel like after doing closing and all that, it's so important for relationships and communicating how you feel, communicating and navigating through conflict, right? Or trying to understand people. I think like the number one thing that's helped me do is learn how to ask questions to understand people a lot more, right? So some of the tactics, I wrote down all the tactics. So for example, one of the questions that I don't really get too often, but for example, somebody asks, hey, how can you prove that this program, this course, this solution isn't a scam? That usually happens for a lot of B2C, because a lot of B2C products, they're targeting people that don't have money, or where money is quite sparse. You're not going to run into that situation too much in B2B, you know, although they have budgets, right? It's a little different. Anyways, how I would respond to that is, well, how am I supposed to do that? If you or me, how am I supposed to do that, right? So it's really understanding the other person's concerns. I love that. It's also understanding tactical empathy. Tactical empathy is a huge part of this book. So if you don't know what tactical empathy is, it's really trying to understand the person and using and influencing your counterpart's emotions just to make deals. Because regardless of how logical you think you are, even the most logical people, they are all emotionally based. Even the most logical people are afraid. When people say that they're logical, they're afraid that they're going to make the wrong decision, you know, and it's really using those emotions to drive actions, right? So you can use it a lot for coaching and all that sort of stuff. I use it on my team a lot. I use it in every single aspect of my life. So I love it. Also, he has this concept of labeling. He uses 3 different phrasings. It sounds like, it looks like, it seems like. For example, if there's hesitation once you drop a price on them, you can stop the conversation and just be like, hey, you know, I'm a bit concerned. It just sounds like this is a difficult decision and there's a bit of hesitation or a bit of fear. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? What's going through your head? It's those questions where labeling really helps understand the other side's party a little more. Also, something that I've been kind of struggling with a new offer is like sometimes when you're closing, the worst like when you're a new closer, the thing that you fear the most is no, right? Because we feel like no is just straight up rejection. But really, Chris Voss, he says, no is not rejection. No is just an opportunity to clarify what you want or what you don't want. And it's actually the starting point for every successful negotiation. So rather than just letting people off the hook and just being like, hey, okay, you know what, you're right, I'm done. No, you continue the conversation a little bit more. And you might say something like, well, what would need to happen to make this work? Right? So it's a proactive solution. You guys are working out a solution. You're trying to identify the pains and connect the goals back to the solution, right? They're on the phone for a certain reason. Why exactly are they on the phone today, right? The second thing that he also uses is, hey, help me understand, what about this doesn't work? Again, you're getting people to talk a little bit more and understand. You can understand their point of view from their side. So I wrote this quote down. Good negotiators expect surprises. Great negotiators use their skills to reveal the surprises that are certain to exist, right? Very powerful quote. So don't run from the no. You know, even basic questions, like he breaks down about who, what, where, when, why. For example, when you want people to talk more, without sounding very defensive or sounding very accusatory, you might say something like, hey, what do you mean by that? Right? It's very non-threatening. But if you use questions like why exactly would you do that? Right? That's more accusatory, right? And more direct, right? There's different language patterns too. And I've been trying to catch myself with that. I could go on and on and on. Literally, I was trying to remember all the different things from this book because, you know, it's been a while since I read it. I didn't have time to reread it. But I remember after reading it, every single time I open that book, there's always something that I forgot that I can apply, that I can drill. So my closing style is always evolving. So like what I recommend a lot of time too is just print out some book notes, go through the book, listen to audio at 2x and read the book at the same time. You'll be done in like 4 hours. But it'll be the best 4 hours of your life because you will take away so much, especially if you can apply it, you know? And that leads me to this. Who do I recommend this book to? So anyone that has major influence, maybe you're a coach, maybe you're a pharmacist, maybe you're a doctor, and you have to influence people to take action. At the end of the day, it'll make you a better friend. You know, maybe a friend's going through a rough time and they need a paradigm shift and you need to help them through that. Maybe you're a mom or dad and you really need to kind of influence your children to not eat candy all the time and kind of change their and maybe you need to motivate them for more positive behaviors, right? And let's be real, everybody at some point, they might buy a home, they might buy a car, they might need a raise, or they might need to negotiate a business deal, right? Everybody talks to people and there's always something that, you know, I hate the term self-made just because in this world, it's really not a self-made world. In order to be successful in the world, you have to be a go-giver. And one of the best things that you can do is help people feel understood and understand them and kind of connect them to their problems, at least when it comes to in terms of sales, closing, or even consulting. So honestly, if you want a really cool story about FBI negotiator and want to learn some things about the art of influence, definitely read this book. Again, I would love it if you could support my channel by buying this book on Amazon. If you don't do it, well, what would we need to do to make this work? Corny line, right? But anyways, seriously, I would love it for you to do that. Watch more of my Hustler Library books. And by the way, I also have a form for every Hustler Library episode. Hey, let me know what books that you want me to review. Chances are I have it on my bookshelf. I have a very extensive bookshelf and I just want to have a better connection with you guys. I actually bought Dean Grazioli's book because one of you guys recommended it on my channel. So believe me, I read all your comments. I reply to all your comments. So leave a comment below too. Anyways, guys, that is all for the Hustlers Library. Thank you for tuning in. And guess what? Tune in next week for next week's episode. I will talk to you guys later. Take care. Bye. Oh, ow, fuck. Straight up to my face.